An elite squad of nano-enhanced soldiers join forces with the faction to put an end to 15 years of unnecessary bloodshed under the brutal dictator Sopot. Red Faction 2.
Hello there, SteelSnake72, back again with my Red Faction 2 medium difficulty playthrough. And this is now a Red Faction 2 that is in full swing, as we are now the gunner on this tank. And this game, much like our channel, is now in full swing, because this is the point in the game where things really start becoming similar in quality to the first one. This game's a lot shorter than the first one, it has to be said. It follows a much more linear structure, similar to Call of Duty, of having just mission by mission, whereas Red Faction 1 is this sort of continuous linear experience with no like checkpoints or anything you manually save, and that similar to how Metal Gear Solid operates. Apart from the fact that if you die in Red Faction on the final boss and you've managed to not save, you've been playing straight for like 10 hours or whatever, then yeah, you have to start right at the beginning, so that's probably not the best thing. As I just mowed down two innocents. Now this is a level where you're going to be driven around by this madman who, once again, he's back to his battlefield antics, because I think we've all been, you know, gunner or, you know, secondary man to a driver or pilot like this who just goes, you're just like, where on earth are you going? And I suppose I'd best talk about Battlefield. That would be an interesting topic of discussion, shall we say, because I can't believe it, my phone has gone off yet again. Thankfully you've not heard that one either, but oh dear. But let's talk about Battlefield, because Battlefield's an interesting series. I'm not a PC gamer anymore. Never really was. There was a time in my childhood where I dabbled in them. That's how I played, for instance, Medal of Honor Allied Assault, which I talked about in the very first episode of this series, and some of the earlier Call of Duties like Call of Duty and Call of Duty United Defensive and Call of Duty 2. Fantastic titles, all of them, all that I mentioned, fantastic. Oh, and a quick note is, this is one of the few areas where you can use geomod really effectively, like this. If you try and blow holes in walls, because you'll take alternate paths, which just expose the Madman AI once again, with Jason Statham doing his best Battlefield impression. But because of this lack of PC, I never played Battlefield titles, because that's how Battlefield started, with Battlefield 1942, then Vietnam, and then we move on, and it's a very gloss history. There was more to it than that. There's more just Battlefield and Battlefield Vietnam. I think there's Battlefield 2 even as well. So my first proper time dabbling in Battlefield on console was Bad Company 2, which I believe came out in 2010. I want to say 2010. I got it free with with the slim PS3, because the old ones, they used to have like the 60 gig one, that one broke. You know, yellow light of death, as they say. So I got Bad Company 2, and I loved it. I absolutely love Bad Company 2. It's a superb game. Easily still, to this day, the best Bad Company game, I think, personally. Which is a bit of a shame, because that means we've had no improvement. But since then, I've been a Battlefield follower. I played the beta for Battlefield 3. Was quite impressed at the time. Got Battlefield 3. Was very impressed at the time. Really enjoyed it. Played that one a lot, actually. I don't enjoy it as much as Bad Company 2 looking back. I think it did have things that were nowhere near as polished, such as the destructibility just wasn't there. Bad Company 2 is unmatched for destructibility. And I just want to talk about really good foreshadowing from this game, because you'll be able to see in the background, maybe not just now, but you'll see a statue. I'll try and point it out later. What's really cool is that's where the end of the game's going to be, and I'll talk more about that as we get to that point. But it's something you're going to see throughout levels, actually, a Sopot statue. It's actually a really neat touch, just something I wanted to mention. But going back, Battlefield 3 I enjoyed, it was a fun experience. I didn't get Battlefield 4 at launch, because it came out with the launch of the PS4. So I didn't get it instantly, and well, I wasn't living in a cave, so I knew how much of a shitstorm that had been at that game at launch. It'd been a mess, it'd been a disaster. I didn't want to touch it, anything near it, you know. That was a really miserable time with the PS4 at launch. All I think I had was FIFA 14, and I didn't even like that FIFA. But I'm not going to talk too much football, because I've got a funny feeling people who like Red Faction 2 aren't so much into their football. But if you want FIFA, let me know, because I do follow FIFA and PES. But so I bought Battlefield 4 much later. I got it for like £4, like on a sale once, which was really phenomenal. Played through it, had a fair decent fun of it, because the game became superb after time, and when they patched it and fixed it. I also picked up Hardline also for £4, which was a waste of space. That game was awful. Like, it's not even worth mentioning. you know, just at all. It was a waste of space, really. Terrible game. And Battlefield 1, I really had a lot of hype for. I played the beta. I actually didn't enjoy the beta. You can even ask WARRIORX that, because it was annoying him how much we were all playing it with a bunch of mates, and I was saying I don't really like this, and they were all like, "Oh, come on, this is a superb beta." But I had a few problems with it. Got the full game at launch. Enjoyed what I played. I think I played it for like a few weeks before I just got turned off by it. The lack of content, it really was a killer for that game. And even now and then I want to go back to Battlefield 1, but I just know the content is so lacking, and I just get annoyed because it's not as good as Bad Company 2. And the main area where these games suffer is single player, and yes, I know single player is not important anymore. SteelSnake, you should move on. But Bad Company 2 actually delivered a half decent campaign. Loads of people rave about Bad Company 1's campaign. I personally don't like it. I don't enjoy playing that one. But Bad Company 2, I really enjoy. I actually really enjoy Bad Company 2's campaign, just because it took a bit more of a piss. You know, it took a piss out of modern games. Not enough really, because I mean, then there's a bit where Sweetwater mentions, "Oh no, we can't let the special ops guys do this. They'll just send in, you know, pussy special ops with their baby monitors." Obviously hitting at Modern Warfare 2, that snow level cliffhanger, where you and Soap are running around with these heartbeat sensors. It's a really cool level in that game, but I just liked that. Not all super serious. It's like, oh, you're fighting the Russians? Why? Who cares? We always fight Russians. It's Bad Company, it's Battlefield, it's Call of Duty. We just shoot Russians. They're invading the world, I guess, because Modern Warfare 2 did it. It was just so much fun and such a laid back approach. I think we were sick of being told to care about all the wars fake wars we were fighting in. It's not like Call of Duty World War II days or Medal of Honor days, where it's like you obviously care because it's World War II. It's actually real, and the fight for fascism is quite a noble one, unlike a lot of wars. But so I think that struck a chord with people, that Battlefield. And Battlefield 1, I hope I'm not the only one that feels this, but does anyone feel like there's a missed opportunity there, as Metal Gear shows it once again? I always feel there was a missed opportunity with Battlefield 1. Like, with it being in World War 1, I would love to see a bit more of an attempt to recreate something similar to World War 1. I'm not asking for a realistic game. I hate realism as a conceit of gaming. Full stop. But Battlefield 1, it didn't do enough to make World War 1. It might as well have been World War 2. But I would love to see a game try and recreate World War 1 in a, I guess realism is the word, but just a more true to form, with not running around with MP40s and stuff, you know, and grenade everywhere. I think we just want trench maps, sorry, and I reckon that Battlefield 1 probably has that now with all the DLC, but I don't want to shell, you know, 80 quid plus to get a full experience I should have got when I paid for the damn thing at launch, and that's a real problem with gaming just in general at large, isn't there now? You know, there was a new Call of Duty World War II trailer that just released at the time of this recording, and it looked phenomenal, and it gets me wanting to buy the game. But I don't want to buy it at launch, because I know if I enjoy it I'm going to want to buy DLC, and I'm going to have to spend so much money down the line that it's too much, isn't it, when you can buy something like Resident Evil 4 for 15 quid on the PlayStation Store, and there you get the full package there, even if it is 10 years old. But it's still so much better than so much other stuff going around. That's why Titanfall 2 was such a breath of fresh air, with not having the paid DLC. There was DLC you could buy, but it wasn't maps or anything. I think it's purely like cosmetic stuff and like camos for your guns and stuff. And here we get the pilot from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, you know, when he goes down the tunnel with the two Joneses, which, what a film. My favourite Indiana Jones film by a mile. Which, again, I'm being controversial because I think people will say you can't not say Raiders of the Lost Ark, as we get a generic stop and just blow the bad guys up. But playing this section made me realise how turret sections like this, they've really not changed, have they? Like, I mean, you pick the latest scene in Call of Duty World War II, it'll look more flashy and you'll feel a bit more in it perhaps, but it'll be no different in its mechanics to how it works than this one. Which could be a tangent for another time, because we're coming to the end of this level, guys. We're going to crash the tank as the Battlefield vehicle story is complete. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next mission where we break in.